Now, ladies and gentlemen, just a little over 3 months ago, CS2 released to the world. Minutes prior, the last games of Global Offensive were played out. Servers were shut off and a new chapter of the Counter-Strike franchise began. This past year, let alone these past 3 months, CS has taken an interesting turn that I would say the majority never really expected. The game released in what most would call a bad state or in a beta, but now things seem to be getting more back on track and becoming a great future installment of the Counter-Strike franchise. With these past 3 weeks marking the 3-month mark for CS2 releasing, it also marks my 3-month in review, where we'll discuss the good, the bad, the ugly, and for those who haven't played since limited test or launch, we'll check in to see if the game has gotten better alongside Valve's future plans. Today's video sponsor is Skins Monkey. Skins Monkey is a buying and trading marketplace where you can trade off your old skins for something new. All you do is log in with Steam, then you trade the skins you no longer want to pick up the new skins you want to obtain. Any remaining cash from trading goes to your balance that can be used in any future trade. By using my code Mando, you can get up to a free $5, and if you choose to deposit alongside using my code, you get a total of a 35% deposit bonus. With Skins Monkey's large variety of skins, they also offer daily, weekly, and monthly giveaways. If interested, it'll be the top of the link in the description below. Now, since the very beginning of CS2's limited test, I'd like to say we've gotten more updates than maybe all of CSGO had within its final years, that being maybe the last 2 or 3. We've gotten more comms from the devs and an actual idea with the roadmap they mentioned in an interview with PC Gamer they had at the launch of CS2. That itself is more info and communication than we ever got from Valve about CSGO during its entire lifespan of 10 years. These updates, at least this past couple of months, don't include a lot, but they really do fix the game, at least some of the time, which we'll get to later. If Valve really didn't care, they wouldn't be updating or talking to us, the community. I'd say they stepped up their game a lot from CSGO. That being said, I now want to discuss Premiere, which in my opinion has a middle ground love-hate relationship for many people, even including myself at times. The positives for Premiere is CS2 Premiere is by far Counter-Strike's best competitive mode they've had to date, and ranking structure. The ranking structure actually makes sense, but most importantly, Valve listened to the players' biggest complaints in CSGO about not seeing ELO and ranks making no sense, and also a good map pool. The map pool right now is a mixed bag, but they're actively fixing bugs on these maps and just cleaning up overall for the major in March, which I think is a big motivator for Valve to get the game ready so it's not an embarrassment where the game crashes or players just end up disconnecting from the game by accident. Now, where things get interesting is cheaters. They haven't been removed, nor has Valve implemented a new anti-cheat, though one is thought to be in the works at least at this very moment. That being an AI anti-cheat, where all the data from CSGO Overwatch for the past few years, the last decade per se, is most likely going to be Counter-Strike 2's very first or new anti-cheat to the whole franchise. But with Valve being Valve, one can never really be sure. Premiere cheaters are infested inside the game. For me, over here in North America, I hardly run into cheaters, at least blatant ones, but based off of how many comments I get on my YouTube channel, let alone see on social media, it's hard for them not to go unnoticed, and from what I've seen, they're obviously in the game. Now, if you thought that was rough, well, it's gonna get worse before it gets better. I now want to talk about CS2 bugs, and this happens pretty much everywhere and on a daily basis. Almost, if not 100% after every CS2 update, which is great. There's always a major downside though. Yes, the game is on a new engine, but every update this at least past couple months has come with some major bugs, and I mean major. We also have the FPS issue, where every other update it feels FPS drops significantly, then an update later or two, we get FPS back to normal, if not higher than it was, and it's just an ongoing cycle. Now, some of the bugs that I want to discuss have all videos for themselves on my YouTube channel from when they came out, so go check them out if you want a more in-depth analysis of it. Number 1, we have the IP bug. Pretty self-explanatory. You'd hop into a Counter-Strike matchmaking game, doesn't matter if it's on Premiere, competitive mode, or even deathmatch. Pretty much anyone at any given time could pull your IP and post it in chat. This had a lot of players lose trust in Valve, but also lose, well, feeling safe, I guess, while playing Premiere. And we have the false game ban bug, which I believe is probably the worst on this list, where me personally, I had some IRL friends that woke up to a false game ban. They didn't cheat. I had to go on social media to see what was going on, and there was hundreds of thousands of players pretty much banned overnight. Millions were lost in skins, and it took just a couple days to get all those bans removed. Valve didn't really have any communication with this either, but it didn't really stop there. After all the players got a false game ban and got it lifted, when they went to go play Premiere, just a deathmatch, their trust factor was at an all-time low. So if, let's just say I myself was wanting to play with one of my IRL friends who got game banned falsely and then got ungame banned. When we queued up for Premiere, we would get really bad teammates or other bad teams to play against that were most likely very toxic or most of the time cheating, which that did happen because of that. So we did have some negative effects from that, and it's not really carried out anymore because this was a couple months ago, but that just shouldn't be happening in the first place. I'm glad it's all sorted out though. And you had some other things like the AMD bug, where there was some people getting VAC banned just left, right, and center because they weren't updating their AMD drivers, or they did update and they had a certain setting in their command console, and it was just a bad look overall. Now, like I said, these were just a few examples, and they were all caused by previous updates. Now, on how Valve can fix these things, well, they need to take more time in between updates to make sure they did everything right. I think with the major coming up very soon in March, Valve, not right now, but they were just maybe a few weeks ago in a desperate and dire situation to wanting to fix the game as fast as possible, and they started realizing that wasn't a good idea. Pushing out 3 updates a week wasn't the best move to go, because with that, there was going to be a lot of things that went under the radar, which they clearly didn't with some of the bugs listed. And ever since that, they have learned, and they're only releasing maybe 1 or 2 every week. Now, with those bugs being temporary, Counter-Strike 2 still has some major issues now pro players are chiming in on. Now, these aren't necessarily new, but they also haven't gone away. Some of them have gotten better, such as Peeker's Advantage, Subtick, and Connection, which can be caused from Subtick. Now, here's a brief explanation for all these 3. Peeker's Advantage is pretty self-explanatory. You would seed someone else before they see you, or the other thing happens to them, which this, I believe, can cause a lot of people, either on your team, yourself, or the other team, thinking one another is cheating. Because if someone's behind a wall and they kill you, or you're behind a wall and you kill them, you kind of get that point, you could think someone, or maybe someone thinks you're cheating. And then you have Subtick, which does have some minor flaws and has gotten a lot better, I will say. For an example is the AWP. The AWP for the first 2 months of Counter-Strike fully releasing was almost unusable. I had friends just using the Scout, the autos on either side, because they were better than the AWP. With the new Subtick system and the AWP not being changed inside CS2, it was just overall broken, but now seems to be very close, if not better, than what CSGO had for the AWP. And lastly, I want to discuss Connection. Like I said earlier, this can also be caused because of Subtick. Connection inside CS2 is absolutely atrocious. If you have 40 to 50 ping like myself over here in North America when you play on a New York server, it doesn't feel like 40 to 50 ping like you would in any other game, let alone Counter-Strike. Inside CSGO, 40 to 50 ping was actually usable. It was not bad, it was considered good. But in CS2, at least over here, it's pretty bad. It feels roughly to 80 to 100 ping like you were inside CSGO. Bullets don't register, sprays don't even lock in sometimes. When you're dead watching someone else and spectating, it's just completely broken. And I believe some of this can be caused because of Subtick, which explains why you don't have too much of a high ping, very similar to CSGO, but you're lagging a whole lot more. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't explain the lag. Now let's discuss content. Well, that was short. All jokes aside, so far we've gotten none inside Counter-Strike 2 to this date, let alone a case. And specifically for the case, the last one to release was the Revolution back in February of last year. So we're coming up on the 1-year mark of when Counter-Strike last released skins, at least not a souvenir package. Now this, in my eyes, is somewhat of a good thing. If Valve right now pushed out cases and skins down our throats, we'd be going back to 2014 all over again, where Valve didn't fix the game and only wanted that case profit. And boy, oh boy, if you weren't there back then, I wish you could go back. And for those who don't also remember, it was a really rough time. The game was absolutely broken. I can still never forget the P250 one-tapping over the M4A4, the R8 getting introduced, pro players having to revert back a few updates on LAN because they couldn't play with it because it was just so overpowered. With that being said, that's all the negatives out of the way. Counter-Strike 2 right now, in my opinion, has a very bright future. With a rough launch, we are now sitting at what most online would say CS2 is a dead game, but right now we have over 1 million players, and we have every day for the last month. Not too bad for a dead game. Now, as it goes for future content, we're guaranteed, at least in the next few months, a brand new case alongside the brand new cookery knife. Not just that, but also brand new maps, or more so rehashes or remasters. For those of you who've forgotten or just don't know, Train was in a lot of the CS2 promotional material and some of the trailers, as well as a winter version of Cobblestone was in recent-ish some of the data mines. So at least as it goes for Train, we're probably getting that pretty soon alongside a brand new case, which is pretty exciting. We'll hold over a lot of those skin enthusiasts until we get an operation. And as it goes for an operation, there are no leaks, no rumors, no data mines. There is absolutely nothing on if there's even one coming within this year. Now with this almost hitting the 1-year mark since CS2 was first revealed, let alone 3 months since CS2 first came out, a lot of people have the question if they should try CS2 for the first time, and for those Counter-Strike veterans, should you boot the game up again if you haven't in a while? In my opinion, with the game's flaws aside, I would say yes. If you can get a 3 to 5 man lobby in Premiere going, which is what I do with some of my old friends from school, it's a great game to chill, have fun, and also have your pro-like moments. Let me know what y'all think down below. Do you guys think the game has gotten better since launch? I mean, it obviously has, but is it gotten that much better in order for a lot of people wanting to play again? I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay positive, stay sexy. I'm out, guys. Peace.